to the what we're going to call the Nephilim, which you might think of as the fallen ones of the Anunnaki, the Nephites. Thoth is telling us, you need no longer be just spawn of the Anunnaki, and what I'd like to, or even spawn of the Nephilim, and what I'd like to suggest to you of how it is that we emerge from that role. Because clearly at first it's a little bit humbling to think that all our noble stories of spiritual ancestry and Adam and Eve in the Bible and the story of Genesis is mostly some fairly klutzy genetic engineering and cloning by some medium-grade reptilians. I mean, this is not, how shall we say, this is not, this doesn't give us a quality feeling for where our parents came from. And yet, I'd like to suggest to you that there's a deeper meaning here, which is actually quite inspiring and quite spiritual. And to get at that meaning, we need to tell a little bit more of the story of this gold powder. See, what we believe happened was that the Orion Queen culture used the technology that we see in beehives today to create a royal family. They used royal jelly. Gardner describes this in some detail. And the royal jelly for the Orion Queens was the high serotonin melatonin content of pineal pituitary secretions that, when consumed, could help implode at the glandular level more powerfully the juices in the incarnating spiritual leader, or avatar, or Messiah. Gardner is suggesting that the word, well, first of all, one of the ways they fed this royal jelly was the menstrual blood of trained quote-unquote Vestal virgins, which is very high in serotonin melatonin. And this was called the oil of Messeh, M-E-S-S-E-H, which literally means juice of the crocodile, or best blood of the reptilians, from which comes our word Messiah. Well, one of the things that happens when you lose the ability to have passion, glandular bliss, fire in your eye, snap, crackle, pop, when you lose this, is you lose the ability to make the serotonin melatonin. I used to joke with a friend of mine. She would say, on my way home from the cappuccino bar today, I realized that maybe I hadn't yet harvested any memories for the galactic core today, which means no bliss, nothing shareable, no charge density. Another way she used to put this was she would say, when was the last time your nostrils flared? And you see your nostrils kind of flare a little bit at that moment of bliss, because the shape of the vortex of oxygen in the breathing process is focused into the nadis by the shape of the nostrils. Another fun story about that is the ancient saying was the shape of the underside of your nostrils is the shape of the favorite whole grain of your ancestors, because that's the way they consumed their fire. And the way you braid your fire in your nose is the way that you assemble spin into density. Well, to continue the little story, so what I think happened was that with the loss of the ability to make this fire in the blood, which has resulted in the song in the blood, Sangreal, which is literally, remember the piezoelectric slinky of the DNA, long wave coupled to short wave? Well, that sound, when it's working well in imploding DNA, is a ringing in your ear that's literally the ringing in your DNA. Song in the blood, Sangreal, which is, in a sense, very wave mechanically the voices of all the ancestors whose shape is morphically folded into your DNA. Well, when the ringing stops, what do? Some things happen. One thing that happens is that if you lose bliss over many generations, women lose the ability to propagate an immune system into the thymus of their children. The reason for this is because the thymus is a catcher's mitt, remember, around the heart. Thy am us, thy am us. And the catcher's mitt is accustomed to receiving the sound shadow of the blissful heart which creates the immune identity where the ingredients of the white blood cells are cooked up in the thymus according to the instructions heard from the blissful heart. So doctors today say, well, the thymus usually shrinks with age. I think they're mistaken. What happens is the thymus shrinks when the heart stops singing. As long as the heart's singing, the thymus remains a good catcher's mitt because it's catching the song of the heart. Well, the thymus began to shrink as they, quote-unquote, fell. And what happened was the DNA had no added ponytail snake charmer to keep the braiding into implosion, into that charge density. And so eventually the DNA literally slows down or becomes less superconductive, and there's less going through the speed of light up the zipper, up the DNA. And I believe that is a useful, but not complete, wave mechanical description of what it means to, quote-unquote, the fallen ones. You see, with this process of loss of spin density in the genetic material, remember, this is very likely to happen when you eat genetically engineered food where they forgot that it's the braiding that makes the spin, not just the codon sequence. So if they don't know what makes a soul, don't let them cut up your genes. So what happens when they lost the ability to squirt this faster than speed of light worm up the genetic material, they lost the ability to lucid dream, they lost the ability to carry coherent memory through death, and they lost the ability to travel in time without using external heavy metal props. Essentially, they lost the ability to shamanically navigate stars. Remember, Shem-An is the Sumerian phrase to raise the Shem stone, which is to raise the highward firestone, which you could visualize as the Tower of Babel, of Baal, in Leolin and Ki. The Tower of Babel was the same shape as a pine cone of the pineal gland, which is a Shem stone. The highward firestone was simply a zodiac magnetic landscape, which we'll see in a minute. We'll play some pictures where you see this golden spiral on the plateau at Giza, around the Great Pyramids, for example. That's an example of a highward firestone, or a Shem stone, a zodiac temple landscape, where you create a magnetic fractal on the land, which you can then use like a lens, like a squirt gun, to squirt your genetic magnetism, your glandular juices, from your body, through the magnetic lens in the land, through the sun, into stars. So, one of the things they lost was the Shem-An, the Anunnaki, the shamanic ability to squirt themselves into stars. And so their star elders, the star elders of the Anunnaki, were the Solarians, the Veracocha, the clear ones, the ones who could inhabit the sun. They came through the sun. All of the legends, whether it's South American, Egyptians, always say they came through the heart of the sun. We see that the heart of the sun, seen clairvoyantly, looks just like a human heart. It's that perfect slipknot of turning inside-out-ness. So the result of their fallenness was that they had to find an external source for this spin. And let's tell this story with some more pictures. We'll take a little break. In order to make the story more visual, before we continue about the source of their external fire, let's play some pictures about how that star map worked. So here is this golden mean spiral on the plateau at Giza, and here is the geometric relationship between the three major star systems it pointed to. You have, in this perfect 60-degree implosion cone shape, the spin path to Pleiades and Sirius as a 60-degree right angle and declination cone, which is the implosion cone, with Orion at the midheaven, and Earth here is at the center. This cone was called Peshmetan by the Hopis. It was called Deep Space Nine in the movie. It meant 1 less than 10, or the Way of the Nine. And the wormhole that was created in the gravity wind by the arrangement of these heavy stars